From R.D. Smothers Wealth Management, this is The Retirement.
When you retire, if you want an exciting life, you need a boring investment strategy.
Matters.
If you enter into retirement without a plan for income, you're not retired, you're simply unemployed.
Podcast.
Hey, this is your host, Dale Smothers, and you're listening to the Retirement Matters Podcast. My hope is that you will find the information you need in every single show on how to do one of the three things: either saving more money more efficiently, planning better for your future where you can live in retirement worry-free, or my favorite, how you can live a happy and fulfilled life in this life you have been given. We know that your time is valuable and we appreciate you spending it listening to this episode of the Retirement Matters Podcast. This weekend, we celebrate America turning 250 years old. Happy Independence Day to you. I'm coming to you here from Big Dog Country, getting ready to start up our weekend celebration in Campbellsville, Kentucky. I know you hear us all over the state into Tennessee, and you hear us throughout the weekend even as this show replays and re-airs on certain stations across South Central Kentucky, North Central Tennessee. But I am excited about this weekend because we get to celebrate being a part of the greatest country in the world, hands down. If you are in America, you have hit the lottery. Being born here is the best opportunity that you have on this big round globe floating in space that we call Earth. It's definitely the best country. And if you have any beef about that, you can go ahead and turn us off right now. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. All right. So I know that America has its black eyes in history. I know that it has some things that it's done in the past, but my goodness, we have been on the right side of history so many times, and we stand up for what's right around the globe, and we are so grateful, again, for the opportunities to exist in freedom and independence. Today, I want to talk to you about financial independence, and I want to talk to you specifically about one particular, what we may call partner in your retirement journey that tries its best to keep you from financial independence. We'll talk about what that is and how you can safeguard yourself against paying too much to this particular partner. Well, to get into all that, but we're going to go to this pause for positivity, and I just can't help but think about the families that have sacrificed, the soldiers that have sacrificed to get us to where we are here, 250 years old. You know, we started as a country with a dream and a vision. And the thing is, we did not get here by accident. We got here by intentionality. That's the magic word. Intentional about where we started and where we wanted to be. As we begin to craft this country, our founding fathers created the living document we now know as the Constitution. The Declaration of Independence stood for one thing, and that we are all created equal, and that we are endowed by our Creator these unalienable rights of the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This is our right as Americans. And to be quite frank with you, Americans believe that's the right of every human being. Now, you may hear in the news, you may hear people even say, and you may even have at times felt like, man, this country's got some real deficiencies. But I'm going to tell you, there's just no other place in the world that we would rather be. And there's no way to think about it in any other fashion. You know, you go to you can right now. This is the beautiful thing about the World Cup being in America. In North America, you know, Mexico, Canada, and the United States hosting World Cup, which is a major soccer tournament, if you're not familiar. This major soccer tournament brings international visitors here for the first time. I think, if I'm not mistaken, like 1.3, 1.4 million visitors perhaps coming to America for the first time, for their very first time. And having heard all the things in the news that they hear in their news about America, they were shocked. Many people have been shocked and posted all over YouTube and all over Facebook the incredible experience they have gained from coming to America for themselves. In a lot of those videos, they talk about how their news media publicizes all the negative, but when they experience America for the first time for themselves, they realize people are friendly here. People care about people here. The freedoms that you have here, the luxuries that you have here. You know, the air conditioning alone has made so many Europeans thankful for being in America during this time. And a lot of those things are governed out of the ability for the general public to own in these countries where these international people are coming from. These international travelers are coming and realizing America is not what news media has made us out to be. From freedoms to luxuries to our hospitality and who we are as a country and how beautiful our country is, all of those things are much better than their news has portrayed. Yet we fail to recognize the beauty in them because they become commonplace. And I'm going to tell you, you just don't understand what you have yet until it's gone. It's hard for us to quantify the freedoms that we have, the luxuries that we have until they disappear. And together we must fight to make sure they stay, making sure that we're leaving this place better than when we found it for the next generation to come. That's what we are called to do. And this is what I want to talk to you about in our very brief pause for positivity. It's the word intentionality, because just like this country being founded with intention, I think it's important for us to go through life. Let's make it this week, just a week at a time, being intentional, because the best things in life very seldom come by accident. Whether it's a good marriage, a good family, whether it's a good community, a good state, a good country, maybe it's just good kids that you're raising, whatever it may be, it's because you were intentional about it, not because it was an accident. So this is the question that I want us to ask ourselves as we go into this week. What am I building today to set up for my future self, maybe a new generation, my family to come, whatever it may be? What am I building today that my future self will thank me for tomorrow? Is there anything in our lives that we're doing today to make sure that tomorrow is better? And if not, let's get to it together. Let's challenge one another to make this place a better place, because I know that if we work hard towards that, together we can make this world better than we found it. In spite of all the bad, in spite of all the negative that you hear on the news, together with community and a sense of purpose and intentionality, we can make this place better. Let's do that this week. All right, speaking of independence, let me get to one thing. As we come back from break, I want to talk to you about this one thing that threatens so many retirees' financial independence. And it may surprise a lot of people. It's not always the stock market. And sometimes it's just that silent partner, the IRS. And we're going to talk about how you can handle that as we get into this next segment. Don't go anywhere. Coming back with more Retirement Matters right after this.
You're listening to the Retirement Matters Show with Dale Smothers. If you'd like to listen to past episodes and find exclusive content and full-length interviews, search for the Retirement Matters podcast on the podcast platform of your choice, or visit us online at rdswealth.com. Unfortunately, for many retirees, they're simply trading in the stress of work for the stress and worry about their financial future. At RD Smothers Wealth Management, our goal is to help build you a retirement plan that provides a smooth transition away from the time clock and into the time of your life. So even if you're still waiting on work retirement, we want to help you retire now from the worry of retirement funding. If you'd like to chat with a member of our team, you can do so absolutely free by calling 270-600-PLAN. That's 270-600-PLAN. Visit us online at rdswealth.com and be sure to sign up for our free weekly newsletter.
Welcome back to the show. Let's jump into taxes, which I think is a fitting time to discuss this. The 4th of July. If you go back to the history of the 4th of July, 1776, a lot of the reason that Declaration of Independence was signed has to do with taxation. Now, taxation without representation is a little bit different than maybe what we're going to discuss today for retirees who need to understand a good way to utilize the tax code to their advantage. But still, taxes have been an issue for Americans since the beginning. Yet after World War II, this tax on income has essentially become the law of the land. Now, the tax code itself has morphed many times over. We say that the tax code is written in pencil. It's not written in pen. The ink has not even dried before they want to rip it up and start over or change things about it. And most of the time, it becomes more and more complex. And eventually, it's become what we know of today as the Internal Revenue Code. The tax code that we operate under today in 2026 presents some opportunities for retirees Yet many retirees have no idea that opportunity exists, and they go through retirement either pulling too much or not pulling enough from their retirement accounts, and ultimately have higher taxes over their lifetime than they would have otherwise had to pay. Now, listen, I understand that we do not control the tax code, but we certainly control our tax strategy. And when you enter into retirement income phase, it takes so much more than just investment strategy. If you're investing without understanding the tax ramifications on those investments, you can find yourself in a hole very quickly. And, even we've had people come to our office specifically saying, I've had to go back to work just to help pay my tax bill. And that is something that we absolutely hate hearing. Depending on how long you've been on this existing strategy, getting into this predicament, and maybe the strategy has been, there has been no strategy. That's what we oftentimes see. We've not really had much of a strategy, Dale. They come into the office, they talk to an advisor and realize, maybe we've not had any tax strategy whatsoever. And if that's the case, it may take a little bit of time to unwind, but at the end of a properly written plan, you should see light at the end of the tunnel. This is not to say that you can completely avoid taxes. Instead, it is that you should understand what tax you owe and then ultimately do your best to pay out the IRS as quickly as you can, with as much strategy as you can, and as efficiently as you possibly can. Because unfortunately, the IRS has become one of the biggest retirement partners for retirees today. And a lot of this has happened because we've saved money in a position that is tax me later in your account. This is an IRA, a 401k, 457, 403b. Those types of accounts are tax me later. And when you tell the IRS tax me later, you're essentially telling them tax me at a rate at which I really don't know yet, but I would be willing to pay it later than to pay it today. And while that may be a good strategy in growth phase, it could be a detrimental strategy in income phase. Here's the question. If the IRS owned 20, 25, or maybe even 30% of your IRA, your 401k, wouldn't you want to know that? Wouldn't you want to understand that that's their right to take that money from you? And unfortunately, it is. For so many retirees, it is the IRS's right to say, hey, half of that or 30% of that money is mine. So when you look at your IRA statement, how much of that money is yours? And if you haven't been able to understand that just yet, give our team a call. 270-600-PLAN. Set up a time to talk, and we will help you understand exactly what you need to start doing to get a better picture of how much of that money is yours, how much of that money is the IRS's. And the real question is this. If you can understand how much of that money is yours and how much is the IRS, is there a way to pay out the IRS's partnership at a lower cost, or at the very least, pay it out quicker so that you can get on with your own life and your own planning? Now, Roth conversions oftentimes come up here. This is where an advisor may say, oh, Roth conversions, yeah, they're good things, but they may not be good for every person. And the internet, Google, ChatGPT, always telling you, hey, Roth conversion, Roth. And that may be true for you, or it may be the worst thing you can do. Until you have put together a true income plan, knowing how much money you need, how required minimum distributions are going to impact you, how the tax bracket is being utilized currently inside of your current income, we need to understand how Social Security is going to play into this and how much of that is taxable. We need to understand Medicare and where you fall inside of the IRMA brackets, which is an entirely different tax bracket on Medicare. These things become extremely important for you as you enter into retirement income phase, and just doing some ad hoc retirement Roth conversion could very much cost you more than it saves you. This is where putting together an actual plan makes a lot of sense for most people. Over the age of 59 and a half, maybe not yet 65, is a perfect time to start working with a retirement income advisor to help craft this plan for you, so that when you actually enter into retirement income phase, you have a plan for how things should go. And of course, you've got to adjust that plan on a regular basis. Perhaps you're already over 65 and you think, Dale, is it too late for me? The answer is no, it's not too late. There may be things that we have a hard time unwinding, or there may be things that we got to do a little bit more tactfully together over the age of 65, but it can certainly be done inside of your tax code, depending on where you fall right now. And what we actually see a lot of times is those who maybe are over the age of 67, not yet 70, maybe not yet 73. Those individuals have a limited window of opportunity where maybe they're making a little bit less. They're not drawing anything other than Social Security, maybe a small pension. And they find that they're not even utilizing the 12% tax bracket. Now, that could be a perfect place to do some Roth conversions. But you've got to be careful in that 12% tax bracket, because if you do too much, now it starts making more taxes on your Social Security appear. And before you know it, you're in the 22% tax bracket without even realizing it. I'm not here to tell you the 22% tax bracket is an unfair bracket, but I am going to tell you that it really depends on a lot of different factors as to whether or not Roth conversions make sense. If you enter into RMDs, required minimum distributions, at 73, or maybe you started sooner, depending on what rules and the year in which you would have entered, 70 and a half or maybe 72, you have an opportunity to take money out of those required minimum distributions and give them to charities. This is called a charitable donation, or a qualified charitable distribution, QCD. Qualified charitable distributions can help eliminate required minimum distribution taxes. Again, one very simple rule that you need to understand as you go into retirement income phase. All of this starts to play together in a plan, and I wish I had more time to tell you all the things that you could or should be looking at inside of your retirement tax strategy, but this is exactly why RD Smothers Wealth Management exists, and we help retirees not only manage their assets and grow their money, but what we've seen is a lot of times this industry has forgot to show people how to spend their money. You know, there's one thing to teach an individual how to save it, and there's another thing to teach them how to spend it efficiently. And we are on both sides of the fence there. In spending phase or income phase, we have got to teach you how to spend this money efficiently, what accounts to pull it from, and that's exactly what we do to make sure that not only you, but your loved ones, the ones who will inherit this money in the future, have a more tax-efficient picture going forward. There's our tax piece for today's show. If you'd like more information, give us a call, 270-600-PLAN, or navigate to our website, rdswealth.com, and set up a time to talk to an advisor. I'm confident that if we can help you save 20 or 30% on your lifetime tax bill, it will be just the same as if we had made an additional 20 or 30% in the stock market with your assets, but we didn't take any additional risk. That's a win-win for everybody, except the IRS. And that's what we're here to do, is to even the odds just a little bit more in your favor, less in theirs. All right, let's go to a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk to you about where we are in the market. Artificial intelligence technology leads the market higher, consistently hitting all-time highs on a regular basis. And, you know, we've been in a little bit of a tech sell-off this past month of June. Historically, the month of July is a good month. Let's talk about what that means for you and why it may be something that you want to pay attention to as we enter into the back half of 2026. Don't go anywhere. We're coming back with more Retirement Matters right after this.
Thank you for listening to Retirement Matters, presented by RD Smothers Wealth Management. If you'd like to speak with us, give us a call at 270-600-PLAN. And if you enjoy the information in this show and would like to hear more, you can access previous shows by searching for the Retirement Matters podcast on the podcast platform of your choice. We also produce a weekly newsletter. Receive it free to your email inbox by signing up online at rdswealth.com.
All right, welcome back to the show. Let's talk about this market right now. We are finding ourselves in the middle of a tech boom. You do not have to have been paying much attention to realize that the stock market consistently hits all-time highs. If you just open up your IRAs, your 401ks, those statements are showing you that the market is climbing higher. Now, if you have not experienced really good growth inside of your accounts, maybe you should pay attention to what you're invested in. And if you need help in making sure you understand what you're invested in, our team is equipped to help you do that. We have a lot of different ways we can show you exactly what you own, what companies you are a part of, and if there's a perhaps better way to grow your money. At the end of this tech boom, many people are predicting a tech bust, a pop of a bubble, let's say, or in a layman's terms, a steep fall in the market. This steep pullback or sell-off in the market may come to fruition. I don't necessarily see it happening, not on the backs of what we're experiencing with the fundamentals. Something we call earnings continue to grow at double-digit pace, as much as 20% this year, perhaps by some estimates. This is oftentimes followed by increasing stock market. The stock market typically likes increased earnings, and for that reason, the market goes higher. But it's impossible to take a look at the market and not see the fact that technology has predominantly led the market higher. And other than technology, the market very easily could be negative if you stripped only technology out. So if you take all the technology stocks out and left everything else, the market is actually down for the year. And that's a little bit concerning. What this means in technical terms is that it's a pretty shallow or narrow rally in the market. What that means in layman's terms is that only a few stocks are actually doing good and the others are perhaps staying still or going backwards. So what do we need to have happen if we want the market to continue to climb higher? Well, we need to see a broadening out. We need to see more and more companies participate in this. And, the next couple of quarters will certainly tell us whether or not that is the case. Artificial intelligence has led us higher. Technology has done this in the past. Back in 1996, all the way through 1999, even into early 2000, we saw technology balloon to a very, very large amount of the S&P 500. And then the boom actually stopped with a bust. An immediate bust of the technology bubble caused the market to sell off almost 50%, and it stayed down for a couple of years. Now, I'm not here to tell you that that's coming because the makeup of this type of run-up in technology looks entirely different at the fundamental level than it did back in 1999. But if valuations continue to get fluffy, if stocks like SpaceX come out and have really no fundamentals backing them, yet they continue to be valued at trillions of dollars, it can start to get very top heavy. And if indexes like the S&P 500 continue to adopt companies like, let's say, SpaceX as an example, this could cause some significant volatility in what we would deem to be otherwise pretty stable indexes. And all of that's something our team keeps an eye on for you. If you're already a partner with RDS Wealth, you don't have to worry about that. If you're not, and you want us to maybe take a look at what you own, we'd be happy to do that. So there's this fine line, let's say, between the camp of, you should be making some good money right now, and I agree with that in the market, but you don't want to go out and chase names that could easily sell off 30, 40, 50% if you're close to retirement. At the end of the day, you also don't want to be in the camp of not making any money just because you're concerned with what's coming. And at RD Smothers Wealth Management, we help you build that portfolio that gives you that protection you desire, but also grows your money when the market does well. So you don't want to be left behind. You just don't want to lose everything you've saved in the event that the market actually takes a dip. And this is exactly where you have to start asking questions, these major questions of where am I at in my retirement journey? Am I 35 or am I 55? And a 55-year-old's portfolio should look entirely different than a 35-year-old's portfolio. A 65-year-old portfolio should look entirely different than even a 55-year-old portfolio. Get very serious about what you own, understand why you own it, and understand the position that you will be pulling from in the event of a good market and in the event of a bad market when you need income. This is exactly what we do at RD Smothers Wealth Management. Again, this industry has been, for years, it's been geared towards buying stock and mutual funds, but it's very lousy at making sure that in the income phase, you protect what you've already made and you can pull that money out efficiently. That's why RD Smothers Wealth Management exists, is because we help you understand those things. When to take Medicare, when to take Social Security, when to take income from certain accounts or leave certain accounts alone, how to pay out the IRS. And you may think to yourself, well, all of those things, Medicare, Social Security, that's kind of defined for me. Not really. Not really. There are a lot of questions. And sometimes taking Medicare at 65 is not the best option for you if you have other choices. if you're still working, if your spouse is still working. All of those decisions need to be played into a income plan, which is why we start there when we begin to work with clients. If you'd like for us to sit down with you, we'd be happy to. 270-600-PLAN. This is important for your own financial independence. As we get to the end of our show, I'm going to do one more segment, real quick segment right after this break. We're going to go into the independence that I believe you are worthy of in your retirement and what we have designed specifically for you to help you achieve that independence. We call it the Retirement Atlas. You may have heard of it. Roadmaps getting you to where you want to be in retirement. Don't go anywhere. We're coming back with more Retirement Matters, specifically about the Retirement Atlas, right after this.
You're listening to the Retirement Matters Show with Dale Smothers. Dale is the founder and president of RD Smothers Wealth Management. We specialize in building retirement plans that allow you to walk away from the worry of running out of money. If you'd like to chat with a member of our team, you can do so absolutely free by calling 270-600-PLAN. That's 270-600-PLAN. Visit us online at rdswealth.com and be sure to sign up for our free weekly newsletter.
All right, welcome back to the show. Let's get into this Retirement Atlas. You've heard me mention it many times on the show before. We build roadmaps for our clients. We build roadmaps to help them navigate all of the decisions they'll be facing in these worlds of retirement. We call them the investment world, the income world, the tax world, the healthcare world, and the legacy world. Those worlds or states of retirement decision must take a map. And here's the thing. Most retirees up until this point, they have spent an entire lifetime collecting what we would consider puzzle pieces. These puzzle pieces may look like a 401k, an IRA, savings, Social Security, pension, investments. All of these puzzle pieces must fit together perfectly for you to get to your desired retirement. Yet no one is helping retirees put these things together. Perhaps you've got an advisor looking at the IRA and the 401k. But no one really talks to you about where and when you should take the pension. No one talks to you about where and when you should take Social Security, or how you should continue saving, or where you should save, how your investments should be invested specifically for income and tax efficiencies. This is where the industry has come up short. The financial advising industry has almost turned into a group of salespeople selling you investments rather than giving you advice. We help people answer questions about when they can retire, when they should take Social Security, how much risk they should be taking, and are there ways to protect their money, making sure it's doing exactly what they desire in retirement. And in order to do that, we help you build your very own retirement map. This is why we've created the Retirement Atlas, because when you go through this retirement journey, you need a map. And the Retirement Atlas is not just one map. It's 5 separate maps for all 5 areas of your retirement journey. And this is exactly where we would like to start with you today.
Hey, 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 we're in the USA.
All right, just like that, it's the end of the show. And I want to tell you, I love spending this time with you as we crank up this weekend, this celebration of America turning 250 years old. I want us to remember that our founding fathers did not just hope that America would work out. They built a framework that is designed to last for generations. And it's up to you and I to make sure that this country goes forward. We have a big part to play, and if we're not careful, we will forget to play our part well. Just like in retirement, this country must prosper due to intentionality, not because it will just happen by accident, but because it's up to you and I to make sure that it perseveres and moves forward. That's our challenge this week. And if you need any help making sure that your retirement arrives at its true financial independence, our team is here to help. 270-600-PLAN. Until we talk again, whether it's right here on the same station or it's in person in one of our offices, always remember, save money, plan well, and live happy in retirement. God bless you, your family, and this great country as we celebrate 250.
Hey, 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 we're in the USA. Hey, 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 we're in the USA.
If
Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. R.D. Smothers Wealth Management is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by R.D. Smothers Wealth Management.